The second half of Season 20 RPL F2 starts now. Welcome along, folks. It is time for a race in Shanghai. Our return here in 2 seasons of RPL F2 action. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, and I may be getting... actually, no, I'm not. I'm not getting a co-com tonight. Well, that is unfortunate. But nonetheless, I am here by myself. It's good to be here. Back for more F2 racing. Let's go over the standings in just a moment. First off, welcome chat. Welcome along. Good to have you all here. So, let's go over our championship standings. Jack leads Skither by 37 points. That gap came down after Skither swept both races last week in Imola. He won the feature and the sprint. Mixed conditions in Imola. It was a bit crazy. We had JTK return to the podium. And we had Jack Miles up there, but Jack Miles only was limiting the damage that Skither did by winning the races. Invicta lead damned by 54 points. ART are not far behind. They have a chance. And last week was our first race with the F224 cars for RPL. It'll be interesting to find out this time, the second week with those cars, how the drivers handle this one. And with that being said, let's give a congrats to our Tier 3 and Tier 2 winners from the weekend so far. We had Tier 3 won by Uri. Tier 2 yesterday won by Red Fire Tiger. And we'll see who wins tonight in F2 and F1. 5 years ago, today, we had our second ever weekend of racing in RPL F2. If we remember, our first race in RPL F2, that was won by HX4K and Ding. They won the feature and the sprint. Our second weekend of racing in RPL F2 came in Baku. And we had Race Dainty take a victory. And we had HX4K take a victory. 12 drivers competed, and the only drivers that are still in RPL today from those events that we did is typical G. He's in the server, but he doesn't race anymore. Padre Silverback, same thing for him. The 2 drivers who do race, though, race in that event 5 years ago today, was Race Dainty and Al Mythic. Now we're starting to get some drivers in here. Look at this. Got some past champions of RPL F2. Bourbon Boy in our Season 18 and Season 12 champion. Remember, Bourbon Boy won the championship this season. We were last here in China for RPL F2. So it is great to have him here once again. And ironically enough, we're going to speak about this later tonight in RPL F1. We've got some major headlines, and one of those being that, and we've not spoke about this at all this week, and I'm not sure how I missed this, but Jack Miles is the brand new league owner of RPL. He was owner temporarily at one point a few years ago, but he has taken over for Luke Range. George is now the co-owner. Luke is still in the big 3 guys who manage things, but he is no longer the owner of RPL. Luke Range has been the owner for a very, very long time, in fact. But he gives it up to Jack Miles. Little inactivity there on Luke's side. You know, he's been busy with work. You know, we had him join us for an F2 race last season, in fact. So it's obviously understandable that Luke's involvement in RPL has not been the same as it was a year ago around this time. So the inevitable had to happen, but it's good to see Luke still joining on the Twitch chat every once in a while, joining on the races, you know, all that cool stuff. And with that being said, Luke Range has been a big big aspect of this league, even besides being an owner. He's the all-time F2 winner, all-time F2 pole sitter, all-time F1 winner, all-time F1 podium sitter, and still somehow, someway, the all-time F1 pole sitter too. Most championships in RPL. You know, for Luke Range's case, he's had a big impact. So we hope that he does stay involved with the league for as long as he can. With that being said, and Jack Miles, congrats on being the owner. Can Jack win on his first weekend of being the owner? 5 years ago in F1, Zatsy, the original owner of RPL, got his first F1 win. It'll be interesting to see if Jack Miles can replicate that 5 years later. He'd have to beat Leo Lund to do so, which will be a little tricky. But, nonetheless, never say never. Speaking of Leo Lund, here is one of our other headlines heading into the event for tonight. Leo Lund is now full-time this season in the Prema ride for Blue Goggies Academy. SV, by the way, he returns tonight. He was coming off of a weekend ban last week. He has a qualifying ban for the event. And it's also SV's last race as the F2 team principal. He will be giving that up to F4, a new person, next weekend. This is his last weekend as the TP. Bourbon Boy was not in lineup, so he'll be having a qualifying ban, joining SV at the back of the grid. So we're heading into one-shot qualifying to decide pole position for the feature race and also decide the reverse grid order for the sprint. Let's recap you on some previous China races in RPL as of recent. In fact, Season 18 F2 was the first time that Blue Goggy got a podium in RPL F2. He was racing Beatnik for the P2 spot. Choco got his first F2 win and RPL win back in this race 2 seasons ago as well. This racetrack last season in RPL F1 was the site of Leo Lund's debut. Leo Lund made his debut in RPL F1 for Alpine and scored a podium finish. This race last season was one that Cookie really dominated on a different strategy, and oh boy, we have rain. We have lots of it too for qualifying. Similar to Canada, no surprise. This place does see quite a bit of rain, but usually not this much. Wow. This is a lot of rain. 15 seconds until we get going for our one-shot qualifying. We've got some folks in chat, and I want to see you guys give us some predictions for the event tonight. Who do you think is going to be on pole position in this qualifying session? It is going to be a wet one, that is for sure. We start off with one-shot qualifying in F2. Look at the spray. Look at the rain. There is so much of it. Let's ride on board with the Kimi Antonelli Prema of Night Owl, who has joined us recently and sits 4th in the championship, just behind Josh and Skither. These conditions just look so tough. Not a lot of them are gonna excel in these conditions, and right now, as we're gonna complete the first sector, our top 3 is Night Owl, Leo Lund, and JTK, 2 Prema drivers up there, and also 2 Invictas in that top 5. These conditions are tricky for the drivers, as we've mentioned, but the fact of the matter is, remember, F2 cars do not have intermediate tires, so the fact that we're running on wet compound tires right now show that this is actually quite the incredible amount of spray and quite the amount of rain we've got on our screen. Leo Lund has taken over right now as the man currently leading out in front on pole position. Jack Miles, our championship leader, is back in 5th. And currently, our driver who'd be on reverse grid pole will be Wavy Knife right now. It was just Spangley who's making his return, by the way, but obviously that is changed hands there. And one more sector to go for the drivers. Look at Leo Lund kind of just drifting the car here through the long right. Look at this. This is so tough on these conditions, and he almost threw it away. He almost invalidated. Usually down this back straight, there would be DRS enabled right now, but there will not be any of that because the spray, oh, there's a lot of it. This is going to be an insane session for sure when things are all said and done. Remember, last week was our first week with the brand new F224 cars. This is the first with these guys doing it in a qualifying session in the rain. Across the line we go for a brand new pole sitter. It's Leo Lund on his F2 debut. Jack Miles disrupts the Prema front row lockout that could have happened. Night Owl, Minico, JTK round out our top 5. Look at who's back there. Blue Gaki, Skither, George, some big names outside of that top 5. Leo Lund is on pole position for the first time on his debut in RPL F2. We had that happen for Night Owl just a few weeks ago as well. He's our 58th different pole sitter in RPL F2, Leo Lund is. He's on top, but only by a 10th over Jack Miles. Night Owl, Minico, and JTK round our top 5. It's quite a spread out field as you get back here. Our top 5 for the sprint race starting grid. Wavy Knife, Spangley, George, Skither, and Blue Gaki. Outside of our top 10, we had Eric, Goatley, Bourbon, and SV. So, as you know, we'll be reversing our top 10 for the sprint race, which means only the top 8 will get points. And it is a dry race, too. So, give us your predictions for the event that is coming up. Who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to get in the top 5? What will happen? I was going to originally have Reese Dainty co-com, but he couldn't join in through that Xbox. So, we've given an invite to the game, at least, to join in. Welcome, Reese. Reese, our Season 6 champion. Got quite a few champions in here. Jack Miles, a 2-time champion. George, a Tier 3 champion. Skither, a 2-time F2 champion. Jack Miles, 2-time F2 champion. Leo Lund, future champion. Bourbon, another champion too. 5 red lights are coming on for the sprint race. We're go off the line. Wavy Knife had tons of wheel spin, but he avoids being side by side down to turn 1. Look at this, 3 wide here, side by side collision. That was Skither into the path of Blue Gaki. Now Blue Gaki clips the grass and goes spinning around. Also involved, the season 12 and 18 champion, Bourbon Boy. At the back of this field, here's Leo Lund and Night Owl battling it out. Here's up front, Wavy Knife losing the lead. Skither now takes it over JTK. These two had beef last week, and Skither goes off. Skither is off. JTK takes over at the front of the field. Into Sector 2 we go. Look at this battle in the midfield. 2 Premas are side by side. Spangley is trying to hang on. Leo Lund is trying to go the long way around. Leo Lund cannot complete the overtake. Now he'll go down the inside at the double left. He goes onto the curb. There's contact. Up in front, you got Skither and Minico, who collided last season from the lead in Spain. It's Skither getting the better end this time. Lots of movement down here to ending bit of Sector 2. Oh, it's getting so tight. Skither's got forced off, and he's got a 10-second, and he's off again. Skither is having so much trouble to start this race. Nonetheless, JTK leads the event. We've got side-by-side action into the hairpin. 3 wide, we're going to go. Oh, we got movement in the back, and that's Spangley having to avoid hitting another car. He's got a 10-second for it. Minico, George, Wavy, racing it out down here. Look at Leo Lund just moving around, trying to avoid hitting some cars up in front. Fastest lap in lap 1 is led by JTK. Now, Minico is on the back of George and trying to go the long way around at turn 1. Now gonna dip to the inside. Oh, they're making contact. Minico on the inside, still having his nose in there, and further back, Leo Lund muscling past Wavy Knife. All this fighting costing them time to get to JTK, who leads the event. There was contact behind between Night Owl and the championship leader of Jack. 3 abreast down to the hairpin of turn 6. Minico, oh, a little bit of touching. Him and George have to concede the place to Leo, who now takes over 2nd place in his RPL F2 debut. Look at this, there's 7 cars, 8 cars under a blanket right here for second place. Side by side, Night Owl has the inside on Jack Miles. Now we got a spin. That is Eric, who has looped it around and spun at the double left. Trouble for him. SV has been overtaken by a 2-time champion, Bourbon, who then lets him go, and Skither gets him in the middle here. What is going on back here? Lots of movement. You saw Goatley lose touch of this DRS train, which in fact, by the way, usually in lap 2 we have DRS enabled in F1 cars. That'll be lap 3 for these F2 guys. And yellow flags, that was Blue Goggy and Eric right there at the back. Nonetheless, George is still trailing Minico, but for how much longer? Minico goes a little deep, blocks up, and George hits him further behind. We have a car off, that's Wavy. Wavy went off at the hairpin as well. And SV, whatever happened with Bourbon, he got a 10-second time penalty for it at the back of this field. SV is letting Bourbon and Blue Goggy go, and I think giving up the places after he got into a collision there. But down at turn 1, Night Owl challenging Jack, spinning George. George got loose, and Night Owl just finished him off. That was not good to see, but George is now down and outside the point. Skither hangs on to our last point spot as things stand. For our lead, Leo Lund is closing in on JTK at the front. It's not taking Leo a lot of time to get to JTK. No surprise there. You're right on board with Leo, who's gone wide. Further back, Goatley is right in front of Skither, and Night Owl, we just saw a mistake from the Prema. He gives up the place to Wavy Knife. Skither and Goatley, 2 Americans riding it out, but Skither not riding it out with, you know, no traction loss right there. Look at that, so loose on the power. DRS will be enabled on the back straight. Leo Lund will have it. JTK has our race lead. How much longer does the Dutchman protect? Side by side now. Leo Lund pulls out and goes ahead. No contest right there. And look at Leo. He's just so much more comfortable on the brakes. In the meantime, the 2 Invictas are close, but closer is Night Owl and Wavy. Night Owl losing the rear a ton, but gets the place. George is up to 9th. Night Owl looks like he's struggling a lot. Leo Lund takes over the fastest lap, and here comes Minico on Jack. He is not close enough. Oh, Jack, look at that. A mistake down at turn 1. Minico will take advantage, but will not go ahead. I think that was smart there from Minico. That's your academy team. Oh, not only your academy team, that's your teammate at Invicta. So you do not want to have any bad blood there, especially going into F1 tonight, which both of them are in the same academy, I believe. Wavy Knife is in proximity of Night Owl. We've got Goatley, who is still in the back of Skither. This is for the last point spot. Remember, Skither has that 10-second. I wonder if he'll get that removed. Was he forced off? He had a lot of trouble there on lap 1. But JTK is losing sight of our race leader, Leo Lund. He is 1.2 back and not going to have a taste of DRS this time. Wavy Knife has entered the penalty club. He has got a 3-second time penalty for, you guessed it, multiple warnings. Goatley mentioned not having force feedback into this race. I'm sure that's not affecting him too much, actually, because he's only down at 8th, and this is right around where he usually would be running. Further back, there's a big train for 9th, which actually, if Skither's penalty does not get removed, will become the last point spot. George has it. Spangley, Goggy, Bourbon, they all follow in this train. Oh, here we go. We got movement down to the corner. Spangley threw one down the inside on George. It forced him to go wide, and Spangley is going to squeeze the high tech. Now, Spangley will try to cut back out of the exit of the final corner, going a little bit wide, in fact. Here is the high tech hanging on for now, but here is Spangley on the outside into turn 1. George is pinching wheel-to-wheel action. Side by side they do remain. This is getting very tight between the two. 9th and 10th on track. George propels ahead. And look at that. Spengler tried to go for a cutback, but Bulgogi had his nose in there. He's still there. There's contact. 3 wide. Bourbon Boy goes through. Using his experience, the 2-time champion, to get ahead. And further back, SV has had trouble again. That is Spengler onto the grass and going wide. He has lost DRS. So now the 2 high-techs take over for 9th and 10th. Bourbon Boy and George, 2 champions right there. George has never won a championship in F2. Minico is still in DRS of Jack, but they're both trying to catch up to 2nd place man JTK. And although Leo Lund leads this race, Jack Miles will be extending the gap on championship rivals Skither and Night Owl. Jack Miles currently has the track position right here. And further behind, on the DRS back straight, George has been overtaken by Bourbon. And here's Bulgogi racing it out with George once again. They raced it out yesterday quite a bit in RPL Tier 2. Now, Bulgogi still stays behind. Goatley just got 7th place over Wavy. Now, Wavy has the favor of DRS down to turn 1 and will retake this place. Slingshotting by the VAR. And Goatley is still not done with Wavy. Down the inside once more. Side by side we go to turn 2 and 3. It's going to get very tight, and it does. They make contact. Goatley is off into the gravel. That will put him in a train with Bourbon, George, and Gagi. Here comes Gagi racing it out with George. George went defensive and has now parked it at the apex. 3.4 seconds Leo Lund leads by in the Prema, and he's trying to get them their 2nd win of the season. And for Prema's case in RPL F2, they've won many times. They have 65 to their credit. Remember, Leo Lund will start on pole in the feature race as well, so he's starting off his F2 debut weekend with quite a bit of noise, to say the least. And we've got another spinner. I think it's no surprise at this point that SV has looped it around again. The AIX is just not having the best of days. But Minico and Jack have closed in on 2nd place man JTK. They are there to challenge. Oh, contact down the straight. That's Bourbon and Goatley. Look at the VAR waiting in the background. Excuse me, that's Bourbon and Wavy. That's the VAR of Goatley waiting in the background. But nonetheless, Wavy concedes the place and then goes straight to the pits. Is this a retirement from Wavy, or is he struggling? Well, this is a retirement, I think, and it is. Whatever happened to Wavy Knife's race, he is not happy with the way it has gone, and he's just gone straight to the pit lane. And he's typing in driver's chat. We'll see what he has to say about retiring in the pits out of nowhere. Regardless, he was running in the points, gave it up, and now our last points runner is Goatley. Goatley was battling it out with Bourbon just moments ago. And Wavy says he's not driving these cars anymore. They're horrible. So that's why he retired. Jack Miles trailing JTK by only 3/10. And JTK has not really had anything for him, or anything for company, since Leo Lund took over at the front of the field for the race lead on lap 3. But Jack Miles with the up and under is going to look to make this move on JTK, and Jack Miles prevails ahead of JTK. Minico is also there to pounce. Bulgogi got Goatley. SV, no surprise, is the cause of the yellow flags. Here we go, down to the hairpin, lots of movement. JTK is a sitting duck. No DRS for him, and he's got to avoid running on the back of Jack. He almost did that. Here's Minico also in the inside line, giving him a little bit of a fight. Minico backed off. Now down this back straight, we're 3 wide once more. Bulgogi is the trident that is farthest on this battle, and he's going deep. Goatley also tried to avoid hitting Bourbon, so he backed off with that one. But Blue Goggy, who could have gained some places, actually lost 3 right there. George is up to 9th while this has happened. Down to turn 1. Jack still keeps JTK at bay. But I think JTK is trying to find a different line and find a way past the Invicta, but cannot do it. No matter if it's the F223 cars, the F224 cars, Wavy Knife has not enjoyed them, and obviously he's our only one we've lost from this event. Further behind, we got Blue Goggy and George racing it out. Goggy is going to go for the lunge late in the brakes, and he just goes way too deep, and that was not going to work. Usually you can brake late with these cars, but not always the case. JTK is struggling, and he's just barely in DRS pursuit of Jack as we get to the sector split. Further behind, once again, we said it a couple of times in Tier 2. We'll say it again in F2. Goggy versus Groggy for 9th place. Side-by-side action down the back straight. Now, Blue Goggy is lagging, and George was the one left without DRS. Goggy got ahead. And, oh, George almost clipped the rear of the Trident and lost the rear. Skither is racing it out with Night Owl. Look at this. Oh, Skither tried to pull the dummy and go to the inside, but the switchback was not on. Further behind, we've got Spangley racing it out with Eric. And is Minico close enough to make this move on JTK? Jack slips up, goes wide. JTK almost followed him right there, but Minico cannot get through. I just want to say quickly, AIX of SSV is about to go a lap down. If you're trying to get stream time by you spinning constantly or doing this on purpose, I'm not going to give it to you. This is going to be the last time I'm going to give it to you if you're doing this on purpose. So, continue on with your race and do better. I don't know what else to say. Nonetheless, the battle still reigns on for 2nd place. JTK is in an Invicta sandwich. Skither and Night Owl, remember, they both have track limit penalties, so this is going to be really just a race to hang on between the pair of them. And here we go, movement down into the hairpin. JTK is pulling out finally and is ahead of Jack, and so is Minico. Minico waited for the opportunity to overtake teammate Jack, but he has done it. Skither also at the hairpin. Oh, Night Owl goes wide. I don't know what happened there. Maybe a bit of contact, maybe not, but nonetheless, Night Owl concedes the place and concedes a lot of time in the process. George has lost the place to Eric as well while that happened. And here's Minico darting to the inside of JTK, looking to make the move. And he is still trying to make the move. And JTK is giving him room. Look at the traction and the power the Invicta got around the outside. And he is still not going to give this up. The Canadian racer of Minico, the one-time F2 winner, down in Imola. Now to the inside. Minico now just pushes JTK into the corner, and Minico, little punt to pass there on JTK, has got ahead. Jack is also there, by the way, waiting in the wings. Does he try the long way around here? This would be impressive to get to the double left and do it. No, it does not happen. Welcome along to the chat nights. It's good to see you. I see you got your reserve contract extended for next season. Nonetheless, Jack Miles is causing JTK to be vulnerable once again. This battle might go down to the wire. It might be down to the last lap, last corner with these two. In fact, make it 3, because just remember, JTK is still in DRS of Minico. I don't know how powerful this DRS is, but we're going to find out down this back straight. We've got Jack pulling out now. JTK cannot get the slipstream of Miniko. Miniko pulled to the inside, therefore Jack could. Now, Miniko went deep, and Jack gets both of them. Jack Miles is up to second place in this race. The championship leader trying to extend the gap over Skither even more. You've got Spangley getting ahead of George. Only time these two were in the same race was down in Tier 3 back at last season. Now George will try the long way around and will not pull it off, but Spangley goes deep, and George will be alongside once again. How about down into turn 1 up in front of that for the last point spot? Bourbon, Goatley, and Blugagi. Remember, this is the last point spot on track, but we do have a penalty for Skither. Remember, a 10-second time penalty will be costly. In the meantime, we're going to keep you on the penalties for the last 2 laps, because Skither's 10-second will be the difference in whether or not he gets any points or not. Further behind, Blugagi is right there on the back of Goatley's car. And JTK has lost DRS to Miniko, so it's now a fight between the two Invictas. And speaking of the two Invictas, we've got a trade in places. Miniko is through for second place over championship leader Jack Miles, who runs right into the back of him. Will that put JTK back in DRS? It will for now. We are on to the final lap, and the man we've not talked about a lot is Leo Lund. He started on pole position from the weekend start, but he did not have that because of the reverse grid. And he started all the way back in 10th and has got his way through the field and is leading this race and has got an 8-second gap. Goatley has got Blugagi for 8th place once again, retaking that into his own hands. Blugagi ghosting inside of the VAR. That's never fun. But for Leo Lund's case, it seems like everywhere he goes, he seems to be impressive. And he has been impressive once again today. In fact, we've only had 2 Swedish drivers win an RPL F2. Leo Lund's trying to become the 3rd. Look at that. He's only a 10th off of his fastest lap 2 as the tires wore down. He has been really on it, Leo Lund. 3/10 the gap between Jack and Miniko. We'll switch back to this in a moment. Gagi is still in proximity of Goatley. That's for the last point spot on track. Miniko 5/10 back. I don't know if he's going to do it. Gagi got close to Goatley, but there's no contact there. No contest. We'll get back to that. Seems like wherever he goes, he seems to do a great job, and he's doing it once again. Only one other driver has won an F1 and F2, and that was Iran Maxwell G. He could tie him later tonight, Leo, if he wins in Texas, but he has won on his RPL F2 debut in China. Jack Miles held on for second place in the battle with Miniko. JTK is 4th. Skither crosses 5th, but has a 10-second. Will he hang on in the top 8? Will he get that removed as well? SV got a 10-second. But Bourbon is 6th. Skither is 7th, just barely hanging on, meaning Blugagi got the last point spot over Goatley. Leo Lund takes victory in RPL F2 and has become the 80th different winner. We've only had 3 Swedish drivers win in RPL F2, and Leo Lund is only the 2nd to do it in F1 and F2. He could tie Maxwell's amount of wins later tonight, the most by a Swedish driver later tonight in Texas if he wins. But Leo Lund, on his debut, wins in RPL F2. When have we said that before? It feels like we've said that quite a bit with our first-time F2 winners as of recent. Night Owl for Prema, Josh last season. No matter what happens, we usually get a first-time winner in China too. It happened with Choco 2 seasons ago. The two Invictas get to spray champagne with Leo Lund. And in fact, the two who joined him on the podium were teammates of his in RPL F1. Jack and Minico were teammates with him at McLaren. One's currently a teammate, one's not. One's only an academy teammate too, to be fair. So here are your results, and I'm going to give driver of the day to Leo Lund. Fastest lap, pole position to start off, 10th to 1st. How can you not give it to him? Leo Lund lands in the top step again, followed by Jack, Minico, both Invictas extending their lead. Then ART with JTK, Prema with Night Owl, Bourbon from a qualifying band of points, a good contender for driver of the day, but not it. Skither and Goggy, your last points runners, and Wavy Knife was our only driver who DNF'd from the sprint. SV says he was on controller for that event because the wheel wasn't working, so that is why he spun out quite a bit. So good to get that clarity there, that it was not intentional, but yeah. And we have some rain for the feature race. Oh boy. Skither claiming Minico hit him on lap 1. That is where he got the 10-second time penalty. Minico saying, I did not hit you, bud. Well, that is what happened there. Nonetheless, 5 seconds till lights out. And it will be a wet one to start off, too. Here we go for the feature race. With the rain pouring down, 5 red lights come on, and we are away for the feature. Wheels spin off the line from Leo Lund, and he might lose the lead from it. Somehow, Leo Lund has held on. His teammate slots in behind Jack. Now, Jack's teammate tries to make the move down the inside, but Jack goes for it. Side by side with our leader. There's contact between the two, and they're hooking wheels. Further behind, Night Owl and Minico also trade spots. So do Goggy and JTK. Now we go down to turn 6, the sector 2. Hits for the first time. Down the inside, George. Into the side of JTK. 3 wide now. Lots of movement down here. Look at the spray. We're going to ride on board because of how bad it is. JTK still behind Minico. Skither there for company. And we've got a car running wide. That is Bourbon. But everybody has seemed to keep it okay except for Wavy and Reese Dainty here at the back of this field. Now, Bourbon is getting hooked. Him and SV both go into the wall. Bourbon has damage and SV does too. And we got a spinner. We've got a spinner. It's Wavy Knife into the wall. Wavy Knife has gone into the Tech Pro, and he is now reversing onto the track. Leo Lund leads this race, but only by 3/10. He has not pulled away from Jack. As you can tell, these conditions for the drivers are very tricky. And Leo Lund is trying to pull that slipstream and make sure Jack has none of it. Look at the positions gained. George up 2. Jack Miles is going for it around the outside. Leo Lund went a little deep. Jack Miles to the inside. Jack Miles takes over at the front. Further back, Goggy gets Minico. JTK gets Skither. Everybody, by the way, is on the wet compound tire. And some guys, after the final corner there, went off. Night Owl 3rd. Minico 4th. Goggy is 5th, but not without a fight here. Down to turn 1. The fastest lap went to Jack Miles, who leads the event. We've got a car coming into the pit lane. That is SV, and Wavy Knife joins him as well. The top 8 are within a second of the car in front of them, and SV speeds into the pits. I wonder if Wavy Knife will have the same thing happen to him. Wavy does too. And Wavy Knife is out of the event. and has left the session. Nonetheless, Reese Dainty, who joined us, is actually racing, and he's racing a former champion, just like himself, Bourbon Boy right here at the back of this field for 12th place. Both these drivers, it's their first time racing in the wet in RPL F2. Remember, if you were here last week with us, we raced in the wet at Imola for a little bit, mixed conditions, but we had a wet qualifying if you missed that here for this event. Now we've got a wet feature. Leo Lund won the sprint if you're just joining us. And he is behind Jack Miles. Up 2 is Goatley, Eric, George, even 3 for Reese Dainty. He had some big losers, but Wavy Knife was the only one, really, who lost so much out of this race. Now, for the move, down at the hairpin. Jack Miles goes defensive. Leo Lund is on the attack. Leo Lund has a lot more grip, it looks like, than Jack, but just getting stuck behind the Invicta, cannot get through. Night Owl is also there to pounce as well. Night Owl, the Australian driver, has been one of our more impressive drivers in recent times in RPL F2. In only his first few races here, he's had a win to his name, and also, look at who he's the teammate with tonight, right behind Leo Lund. So he's giving Leo Lund quite a fight. And fastest lap right there, it went to Jack Miles. Let's look at the fastest laps here on lap number 2 of this race. Reese Dainty is going faster than some of those in front of him. George is holding on to 6th, but just hanging on for dear life, it looks like, right there. Leo Lund is still trailing our leader, but only by 4/10. Jack Miles is in front of him. Can Jack Miles do what Zatsy did 5 years ago today and win as the league owner? Jack Miles took over as owner just a week ago. Less than a week ago, in fact, over Luke Grange. And it feels like for Jack's case, he's holding off the modern Luke Grange right now in Leo Lund. Five drivers at the front of this field are all in proximity to fight for this race lead. George has a train kind of forming behind him. That's with JTK and Skither. JTK raced George back in Season 10 Tier 2. George raced Skither back in Formula Endurance and F2 multiple times. Reese Dainty gets Spangly, but the yellow flags are for SV, who's back into the pits. Is this a retirement from the AIX? Skither gets JTK further back. That's for 7th, but for our lead, Leo Lund is back at it. Jack went defensive again, and how much longer can Leo Lund stay behind the Invicta? He goes out a bit wide, but who gets on the power first? Leo almost goes onto the side of Jack. Remember, these two are teammates in F1, and Leo Lund backs off and stays behind the Invicta at the final corner. Big battle for 6th. We got Skither, George, JTK racing it out. Leo Lund, now Minico takes the fastest lap. Leo Lund and Jack duking it out down to turn 1. Remember, this would be the lap where we'd have DRS down to turn 1, but we have rain on the track, so that means there is no DRS online. Now, Skither and JTK are side by side. A little bit of beef between the two last week in F1, but so far, very clean between the pair. George is ahead, by the way, of these two, and watching in his mirror, these two fight it out. Skither and JTK are still wheel to wheel and now pinching one another. Look at this. Tight action for 7th and 8th. Usually in the sprint, this would be the last point spot, but this is for a few point spots ahead of the last point spot in the feature. And look at that. Big wiggles from both of them. Our last points runner, speaking of things, is Reese Dainty. And we have a big battle further behind him that he's trying to run away from. Looks like the rain is starting to die down a bit. We don't see too much of it, but it is still raining. And Leo Lund is on the back of Jack here as we see the drivers head into Sector 3. We had movement further back between Spangly and Bourbon moments ago. But Reese Dainty has held on the last point spot over Goatley. Leo Lund seems to get the help of the slipstream and the tow down this back straight every single time. And maybe it's a setup too. But Leo Lund, this time, goes the inside of Jack Miles. Leo Lund late on the brakes. Tries to stop right in front of Jack, but Jack does get the traction this time. And they're going to be wheel to wheel once more. Jack. Oh, collision! Jack is off! Into the pits he goes! Leo Lund has been overtaken for the lead. Night Owl from third to first. Jack tried to turn in on Leo, and Leo has lost the lead from it all. Everybody in the process is coming into the pit lane to change on to dry tires. But did Jack repair his wing in the process? Is he gonna lose out due to that? That will be the big question. Leo Lund has given up the lead. Not sure what happened for Leo to give up the lead, but everybody that did not pit stayed out on the wet tires, which is basically half the field. SV is out of this race, but Leo is fighting now with his teammate for the lead. Minico is also there to pounce. Everybody right there pitted to go to dry tires, as we know, because it stopped raining. But keep in mind, they'll have to get up to temperature with those tires, and Jack Miles did get damage from the incident. He repaired it. George and Eric overtook him. We've got side-by-side action. Night Owl's trying to hang on. It's Australia versus Sweden. And we got yellow flags. That is actually for George Alp Williams. George is fighting Jack. And Leo Lund is taken back over at the front of the field. But George just banged wheels, it looks like, with Jack. Reese Dainty got a penalty. He pitted moments ago. But for our lead, Night Owl is trying to get the move done. Actually, the yellow flags may have been for Eric earlier ago. He was the one around, and he has spun around again. Now, around the outside, Night Owl is trying to get the traction. Leo Lund is pinching him on the curb. Two teammates are really racing it out to be the first one of the pits. Night Owl will be the first one of the pits of his teammate. Then, Leo Lund overtook him, but went way too wide. And now, look at this. Leo has been overtaken by Night Owl and Minico. Wow. Skither stays out, and he did this in Imola to avoid having a puncture, and he's gonna do it once more. Bourbon joins him. Look at this in the pits. This is wild. Leo and his teammate tried fighting it to be the first one in, and that was a fierce battle between the pair of them. And Leo's on the softs. Leo is going on the softs. Has he thrown a chance at the victory away? Wow. Jack is only on the main straight now. Look at this. Night Owl will have our provisional race lead. But Leo is on the softs. This is not like F1 cars to where you can go on the softs and make it the rest of the way. His tires will be dead shot by the end of this. Look at Reese Dainty up in front of up in front of Spangley, excuse me. Goatley behind as well. Just struggling for grip right now. Did they pit for these tires a lap early? That's why Skither and Bourbon have stayed out. It will have the fresher tires at the end when they do pit, and they'll be avoiding a puncture. Reese Dainty had a little wiggle from the rear. This is a chaotic event. It seems like we had the same thing happen in Imola, and it resulted in just utter chaos at the end of the event, and we're seeing it happen again. Our leader is in. Skither pits now down here for the last point spot. Reese Dainty has a penalty, but he is holding on track. Goatley and Spangley are there to pounce, by the way. Jack Miles is on the back of Leo, who's on the soft tires, and it's looking like that's not helping the Prema at all. Bourbon joins Skither to the pit lane. Jack Miles has got through on Leo. The soft tires should help him here, but it's not. This is just troubling for Leo that he pitted onto the wrong tire, I think. He's going to have to do a two-stop here. And Leo loses the rear, but Skither comes out in 4th place. But how much is he behind our leader? He had to come from behind in Imola, and he's going to have to do it by 6.7 seconds this time again. Bourbon Boy, by the way, was 5 seconds behind Skither, and in fact, pitted, and will come out behind his teammate. 9th place right there. Wow. So a big change at hands for, really. Whoa, Leoland taps the back of Jack. I was just going to say, a big change at hands in the feature race. More points in offer, you know. Night Owl, who sits 50 points behind Jack in the championship, is ahead of Jack by 5 places. And in fact, going to beat him by about 15 points right now as things stand. And also, with that being said, Skither, who's also second in the championships, Jack, will be gaining out on him here as well, with that being said. Maybe more if he does get the 10-second in the sprint race that he occurred removed. For our race lead, we've got some one-time, one-win wonders here at the front of our field in the top 3 spots. Night Owl, Minico, and Blue Goggy, and perfect timing for Minico to get the DRS activated. He has pulled out from behind the Prema and taking over the lead of the race. Blue Goggy sits on the podium right now, but will be having a challenge soon from the dams of Skither. Leo Lund pulls out from behind the Invicta, but goes a little too deep into the corner, and Jack Miles is through and ahead. Minico leads this race, and we saw a similar race where we're going to have to avoid punctures where Minico won. Right now, that gap was 6.7 over Skither. It's 7.6, so Skither is not winning out like we thought, and here come the soft tires in for Leo. It's helping him now, but does he go the rest of the way on the tires? I just don't see it happening. And we've got a crash. We've got a crash. George is out. Migrating host, George has left the session. Because of lagging out, George has had his car get retired. Well, we had Reese Dainty and Bourbon have a move made. We had Jack Miles and Leo have a move made there for 6th. But we've lost our 3rd driver from this race. And it's happened due to George lagging out. Hopefully it doesn't cause any issues with migrating host right there, but we're going to get George an invite back to the session since he is an admin. We don't want him missing out on things for sure. Oh, that was JTK. And he'll have to give up the spot to Leo. Maybe Jack, too. He lost the rear out of turn 10 right there. Luckily, that was not race ending. I'm not sure how. But that was crazy stuff. Minico has pulled out a 1.3 second gap over Night Owl. Has Skither gained on Minico? No, Minico is going quite fast. 0.9 is the gap now. It is coming down. Minico's got to hold on here. I mean, Skither may get some pace when the tires wear, but will it be enough to go fight our race leaders? That will be the question. Bourbon has got Reese Dainty in the back straight due to the help of DRS. And further up in front of that, 5th place is Leo, 6th is JTK, and 7th is Jack. And I've lagged out of the party. I don't understand. Every time I commentate alone, or any one of us commentate alone here at RPL Streamer or RPL Formula 1, we tend to lag out of the party now. Why is this glitch continuing to happen? I will never know. This is really ridiculous. I don't know. Maybe we'll stay here for the people who want to hear the lovely commentator. I'll switch back to the party though once the action calms down. We got about a 4 lead. Night Owl right now is close. Oh, he almost lost it on the curb. He's close, but not close enough. And by the way, Jack Miles is on the move. Here he goes to the inside and overtakes JTK. JTK is really struggling. He pitted a lap later than Jack, or lap earlier than, no, lap later than Jack. Excuse me. 2 teammates right here. No, they're not teammates. What am I talking about? Bourbon is not teammates with Reese. Bourbon and Reese are in DRS range of one another, but has Skither gained the gap down on Minico? He has a little bit. 7.9. It was originally 8 seconds a lap ago, but I don't know if that'll matter by the end of this now. Oh, there's contact for the lead. Night Owl got in way too deep and tagged the back of the Invicta. That'll cost them time. And Night Owl was lucky enough not to pick up any damage. This has cost them major time. Goggy's gained, Skither's gained, and Night Owl is going for the move for the lead. Goggy takes over the fastest lap of this race. Now, a fight between the Prema and Invicta. It's not Jack and Leo this time. It's Night Owl and Minico. Jack Miles takes over the fastest lap while things stand. Bourbon Boy is also hanging on over Reese right now. He's keeping Reese at bay quite well. I know Minico will be hungry to take back that lead after what happened down there at the hairpin. Night Owl got in way too deep and tagged the rear of the Invicta. I'm interested to see if Minico will want that sent to the steward's room, but because of that happening, Skither's gap has gone from 8 seconds to now 5.5. Remember, Skither has to overtake Blugagi in order to get to these guys first. Night Owl losing the rear. Multiple snaps right there. We're going to take you off the tires. And we know what tire everyone's on, except for, you know, Leo being in the softs. Everyone's on mediums. No brainer to go to the mediums right there. I'm not sure why Leo went to the softs. It's clearly not worked out, but Night Owl, wide entry, better exit, has pulled away from the Invicta, and down this back straight, Minico will have DRS. Will he get ahead of the Prema this time? Look at the slipstream, look at the DRS, look at the power there to the inside. Minico makes sure he does not get tagged from the rear this time and gets ahead, but Night Owl is there and is not going to get ahead. So Minico reclaims the lead of this race on lap 10, but Night Owl will have the assist of DRS once more, by the way. And as they change hands of the lead, Goggy has set the fastest lap. Now Skither has. The gap is coming down, 4.8. So the more they fight, the more the guys behind catch the leaders. Jack pulled out and looked to try to make the move on Leo, but he tucked back in. Reese Dainty's going fast. He's our Season 6 F2 champion. He sets the fastest lap. You know what I love about these F2 cars? I know we don't mention it enough. We've got the Instagram. We've got the social media pages on these cars. Something I like about some of these F2 teams and what they do for their liveries. For those of you who wanted to hear my lovely voice, you're not going to hear it much longer in the game chat. I'm heading back to the party since the action has calmed down. Remember, catching's one thing, passing's another. Goggy is closed in on our leaders, but Skither has closed in on him. Double the pressure right there. Night Owl is behind Minico still, but still cannot get it wound down. Well, he did that time, and he used it to his advantage with the rear grip that he gained right there. Look at this. Overtake done. Night Owl gets the lead of the race once again. Blue Goggy is still ahead of Skither, but Jack has taken on Leo Lund and has got 5th place. Night Owl, fastest lap, 47.1. Then it becomes Skither, and Jack Miles, crucially, is in the penalty club. Well, Leo Lund could be overtaking him and maybe JTK, but down the inside, once again, Minico got the lead there into turn 1, and we've got a move being made further back. Skither is ahead of the Trident of Blue Goggy. These two used to be teammates. The more they fight it out for the lead, the more time they cost themselves, but it still could be a 3-car race here for the victory. Night Owl seems to be better when he goes wide on the entry and betters his exit, kind of diamonds the corner there. He couldn't get the lead back this time, but the gap is 2.4. We got four drivers fighting at the front for this victory, and Skither's the only one with multiple F2 victories. Skither has won 35 times in RPL F2. And if you want to look at the amount he's done this season, he's done it 4 times. And this would help him with his championship hunt on Jack. Especially considering Jack Miles is folded under the pressure right there and picked up a track limit penalty. We don't usually see that from Jack, but it's happened 2 weeks in a row now. It has to be questioned what's happening with Jack. Especially now that we're in the second half of the season too. If Skither continues to attend races, this could be championship hunt on. Speaking of hunt on, we hunt on for the lead. Down to the hairpin. Minico has been overtaken. Night Owl breaks very late. Minico gets the inside this time. While Leo Lund overtakes Jack, we see a movement still trying to be made between another Prema and Invicta. This time it's up at the front of the field for our lead. 2 seconds now, the gap between Skither and the race leaders. The gap is coming down. Like we said, passing's one thing, catching another. Look at this! Oh, man! How did Minico not get turned around there on the main straight? Night Owl ducked back to the inside. Minico will have the inside now for the next corner and is still ahead. Gagi, by the way, is not yet fighting with Skither. He's following him to catch our leaders. Leo Lund got the move done for 5th, and Minico sees the Prema of Night Owl go way too deep and takes back the lead of this race. It's like a NASCAR race to the front of this field with these guys. 4 cars now in this train and having DRS, but the lead has swapped hands multiple times in the last few laps, and we're coming down on the closing laps. Well, Leo did start on pole and collided with Jack at one point, but that's what set them back there. I don't know if Leo repaired any damage or not. I know Jack did. That's what set him back there. Invade, as you see, you know, his message in Twitch chat. I just want to reply to that. Yeah, that Leo, problem for Leo is he's on the soft tires. I don't think those tires are getting to the end. I hate to say it. I really do. I don't think they are. Biggest gainer, by the way, 7 spots for Reese Dainty, and Minico almost locked it up again. Skither is there. Gagi went way too deep, and his chance to stay with Skither might be over. Gagi has ran a great race, staying with the 2-time F2 champion of Skither. 3 laps to go. Look at the cars in the frame. 6 of them at the front of this field. Spangley currently holds 11th, but remember, if the drivers in front get another penalty, that is for the last point spot, and Eric has got Spangley down in the braking zone. A little nice dive bomb lunge complete there. What a chaotic event that started out with wet conditions and went to the dry conditions. Everyone changed over on tires. Leo Lund and Jack, 2 teammates over on the F1 side, collided earlier on, and it caused Jack to go in the pits and repair his wing. But at the same time, Jack pitted early to get off of those tires and go to the mediums. But the guys who pitted a lap later, or laps later in Skither's case, have taken advantage of this and now are at the front of this field trying to win the race. The feature race. The race with more points on offer. The race where the top 10 get points, and the race that we're seeing at the front of this field, edge on. Night Owl is within DRS of Minico. Skither is there. This is going to be the wing difference now down this back straight, and the slipstream as well. 6/10, 5/10. Look at him just closing in on Minico. Do we see 3 wide? Skither down the inside of Night Owl. Night Owl clipped the back of Minico and has given up 2nd place. Jack gets 5th on Leo Lund, and Night Owl hangs on over Gagi. That's Academy teammates, by the way. And Leo Lund with a dive bomb does complete the move on Jack. Nonetheless, it's the 2 who collided in Spain. It's the 2 who collided at the start of the sprint. It's Minico and Skither running 1-2. And now Blue Gagi looks to take the podium. He looks to fight for the victory. He couldn't get the victory in Tier 2 yesterday because of stuff like that. A collision has happened. It was the safety car yesterday in Tier 2 that caused Gagi to get caught out. And right there, he was caught out just making contact with his Academy teammate. That's his car. Remember, Gagi's an F2 team principal. And he'll be watching his teammate right behind, Leo Lund, try to take on Jack. That's one of his cars, in fact. Gagi gets penalized for that. Does that limit the damage done for Jack? Jack has the 3-second. If Gagi's awarded a 5-second, maybe that's the difference. Gagi just looked like he turned in and hit the side of his own teammate. That's the second day in a row he's collided with his own teammate. He did that in qualifying yesterday with Jackson Traeger. Oh, we'll be coming to 1 lap to go this time. Skither is in DRS pursuit of Miniko, and he's reeling in our leader. Can Miniko hold him at bay? Skither stays behind and will wait for one more time to make this move, but Miniko goes wide. Miniko goes wide and was hoping to get the DRS right here on the main straight. He is going to get the DRS, but will he have enough for Skither? Jack has got Blue Gagi down in the braking zone, and Leo Lund may have got collected there as well, with whatever happened there. Leo has managed these soft tires quite well, to say the least. I'm surprised he's held on for this long with these tires. Leo Lund is going to the inside of Blue Gagi. That's his TP in F2. Now, a little switcheroo made. Blue Gagi is ahead for 5th place. Now Miniko backed off there and got himself some DRS, but will he have enough down this back straight one last time? Will he be close enough one last time to make the move on our race leader Skither? Skither has won 35 times in RPL F2, 65 times across all tiers. Miniko has only won once, and that happened last season. And it happened in a race he beat Skither in. In the race, he also had a puncture on the last lap. He won on 3 wheels in that race as well, for good measure. 8/10 is the gap. Will Miniko have DRS here on the final lap? He's just barely in it now. He might have been out of it. We'll find out down this back straight one last time. Did Miniko get the DRS? Skither is trying to pull the slipstream. Miniko did not, or he did get the DRS, but we've seen how powerful that DRS is. Does he get there in time? He is not close enough. Does he go for a late lunge on Skither? Look at this. Closing, closing, closing. Not close enough. Does he get the traction? No. Blue Gagi is racing Jack, but in the meantime, for a 66th time across all of RPL's tiers, Skither claims victory in the feature race. Miniko comes up 1 spot shy. Night Owl, who was overtaken by R2, has finished on the last step of the podium, and Leo Lund has held on for 4th. Whatever happened with Jack and Gagi, there was a collision. Gagi is 6th, Jack is 5th, JTK is 7th, then Bourbon. Reese will get 9th, and Goatley will be our last points runner in the Van Amersfoort. Skither wins for the 36th time in RPL F2 and the 66th time across all of our RPL tiers. He has put on an amazing performance, coming from behind once again. Our 2nd week in a row, his 5th win on the RPL season. His teammate will be the last one to cross the line. Spangley returns to RPL. It's been quite a few months since he's raced, but welcome back to racing here, my friend. Fastest lap in the end. How about that? He stole it from someone in front of him who had it. That's impressive. Well, being the last car across your line, there's not a lot to hang your head around, but that's one thing you can hang your head around. The fastest lap of the race. Driver of the day from the feature race has to go to Skither. Regardless of if he gets that penalty removed or not in the sprint, he gains on Jack Miles' championship lead. And that will be the big talking point into next week's race in Singapore. Skither celebrates on the top step of the podium. The American puts his fist in the air and says, "Hell yeah." And probably is happy he beat Miniko again, because it seems like every time they go toe to toe, he just gets the better end of the stick. Skither scored 27 points to Jack's 18. Look at this. That is 9 points gained from Skither over Jack, meaning the gap is down to 28 points. There are your full results from the weekend. Here are your feature race results. I would have to say Reese Dainty and Bourbon are definitely two contenders for Driver of the Day, but they do not get it. The game gave Leo Lund fastest lap, being the car on the points, but it actually went to Spangley, technically, if you think about it. I don't know why it only does that, but nonetheless, we lost 3 drivers from the race, George, SV, and Wavy. Reese, Goatley, our last 2 in the points. If Goatley truly still did this race with no forced feedback, he didn't do a bad job. He was up there in the sprint, just 1 spot shy of points, and scored points in the feature. So I want to give a big effort shout out to him today for that one. So Leo Lund and Skither, 2 drivers who always seem to be at the top in RPL, won the sprint and the feature. Make sure you join us for later on today in RPL F1. We are racing in Texas, where the championship could potentially be clinched. We'll find out. I'll be on commentary with RPL Titan Iron. Tier 3 races in Monza to start off next week. Tier 2 is in Singapore. And our next F2 race, folks, we will also be in Singapore then. We didn't get to race Singapore last season. It was canceled due to lack of attendance. So please, if you're an F2 driver, I want to see us race Singapore again. We had some controversy and some returns to the podium in the race there last time. Hopefully we can see some racing around there once again in RPL F2. In the meantime, I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, signing off. Join us later today for RPL F1 at Texas, or next week for RPL F2 in Singapore. See you then. Have a good night. Bye-bye.